Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter Podcast. And today is going to be another review of Major League Baseball. Sorry, I forgot to adjust it there. Um, it's been we're already into the month of June. Technically, we're a day already into June. I wanted to do this yesterday, but forgot my brother takes my laptop on Mondays, so I wasn't really able to um, record yesterday. So I'm doing it a day late, but it more or less still is just the May review. Um, so yeah, this is going to be a review of the MLB for the month of May. I'm going to, of course, like I do the other videos I've done in the past for Major League Baseball. If you guys have watched the Major League Baseball videos beforehand, you would know how I normally do this. I pull up the old video from the month before, and I'll look and see what the records were of each team in that video, and then obviously I'll read off what the ones are now. Um, so that's normally how I do this. Now I also do know that I uploaded the review for the last month way too late, so I apologize for that. This one will not come out late. It will come out by the end of the night. I guess this is June 2nd, so it should come out by the end of June 2nd. If it doesn't, well, that's on me. But it will come out by the end of the night. But let's start this video off. I'm not going to take too much of you guys' time because there is another video I want to get into today, but I don't think I'll have time for that today, so I'll have to do it probably on Thursday or something, or maybe some other day. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Um, well, let's start with the first team here in the AL East here to start the month of June, and that is the Tampa Bay Rays, who were 36-20 until the Tigers somehow beat them yesterday. We'll get into them later. But the Rays, 36-21. What a year so far. Very, very shocking what the Rays have been able to do this year. But coming into the month of May, technically it was going over March and April, but going into the month of May, the Rays were at 18-12. So for that, with that being the case, minus the Tiger loss yesterday, they would have been at 18-8. But count that one in, they're 18-9. Still, really good month of really good month of May. Very impressive baseball from Tampa Bay. Um, I don't really know what to say about these guys because nothing really to me stands out about them. I mean, they have some good players here and there for sure. I mean, Shane McClanahan has come back this year, and while he isn't looking like his Cy Young candidate self, I would say necessarily, he has pitched, reasonably well. They have some other guys who are giving them some nice contributions. Obviously, Junior Caminero is an absolute sensation. Yandy or not Yandy Diaz, Yandy Diaz has also done pretty well for them. Like they have a handful of good players, but like I said, there's a handful of guys. Other than Caminero, McClanahan, and Yandy Diaz, I can't say I can necessarily know some other true star caliber player for Tampa Bay. I mean, I know they have Cedric Mullins, but I mean, he was good 3 years ago for the Orioles. I mean, I don't really understand how they've been this good, but they have been, and props to them for playing as well as they are. I mean, you're winning a division and you're exceeding expectations. I'd say that's pretty a pretty good job done by Tampa Bay. And then up next here we have the New York Yankees, who are at 20-11 coming into this month. Now sit at 36-23, 16-12 for the month. I mean, listen, that's honestly not bad at all. Realistically, it's the Yankees. I mean, um, just good team. I mean, as like I said before, this is a very good baseball team. There's nothing wrong with them. They're very good offensively. Their pitching staff is pretty electric. I mean, this is kind of where you would expect them to be. Maybe a little bit better. I mean, obviously the Rays have been very good, as I mentioned earlier. But I mean, what necessarily are you going to do? You know, um, you realistically, like, yeah, you'd want them to be maybe a little bit ahead of the Rays, but it's like, listen, the Yankees are very good. The Rays have played very well. I mean, it's not like the Yankees have been bad; just the Rays have been that good. So, um, I don't really have much to say here. Come to be expected. I mean, you have the the Aaron Judges and now Garrett Coles, which are back, and Carlos Rodon, who is also back, and Max Fried, who has already been pitching for them. When you have all those guys, playing for you, and Bednar and whoever else, when you have those guys playing for you, you expect big time results, and well, that's exactly what they've gotten. So, you can't really say that's necessarily surprising because to me it really isn't. But they've been very good. They continue to play very well, and yeah, they're a good team. But 16 and 12 for the month. Would you rank better? Yes, but still pretty good. Then come the two really would have been big disappointments this year thus far, with another one that's kind of sandwiched in between them. But we'll start with the World Series team from last year in the American League, and as the Toronto Blue Jays at 29 and 31. I really have nothing to say about that other than what the heck. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I mean, you just this team just if you're a Blue Jays fan, it's gotta be so aggravating because you watch these guys continuously, underperform year after year after year. And then randomly last year, they just have a great season. They go to the World Series, fall a game short, and now here they go again, just major league underperforming. It's just so weird. It makes no sense at all. But the Blue Jays are 29 and 31, still 2 games below 500. They were 3 games below 500 coming into the month of May. So for the month of May, they were at 15 and 14. You can do the math there. They only needed to be 1 game above to go 1 game higher, but pretty much 500. I mean, not special, very mid. Um, Not something you would expect from the Blue Jays. I mean, 8.5 already out of first place. Um, Tough hill to climb, but if there's anybody that could do it, I guess it's a team that made the World Series just last year. So oops, sorry. We'll see what's left in what's in the tank for them. We'll see if they can maybe pick it up a little bit and show a little bit of those World Series chops that they had last year. But as of right now, it is just the Blue Jays hanging out there in third at 29-31. Then you have the Baltimore Orioles at 28 and 32. A couple more games below 500 than they were before. They were at 15 and 16. A 13 and 16 month has dropped them now to 4 games below 500, 9.5 out of first. Um, Poor pitching staff, I'd say, is the biggest problem here. Baltimore, their starting pitching has not been sharp, and that's been a problem for them for several years. They've really just not ever been able to address that. They've had big time prospects that are supposed to come in and fix it. They never did. They had they had some signings that were supposed to come in and fix it, and they did. And Corbin Burns did for a little bit, but he never stayed, and a lot of problems there. They have a good closer actually, who's been pretty good for them, and Ryan Helsley, but I know that he's I think hurt right now, so that ain't helping their pitching either. So it's just pitching issues. I mean, because you look at the runs scored, it's not like they're. I mean, they're pretty close to what the Rays are getting at 271. They're actually a little bit higher than that. So it's not like they're not scoring runs. They certainly can, and they can score them quick. With guys like Pete Alonso and resurgent year from Adley Rutschman, but the pitching staff has really let them down thus far. So um, maybe with some better pitching, the Orioles can get some better results. But until that pitching staff can get it figured out, it's going to be a tough road ahead for Baltimore. And then sitting in last still, even after the firing of Alex Cora, which was a headline move during my last video, which was posted way later, but at the time I recorded it, that was big news. Red Sox are at 25 and 33. They were really off to a rough start to begin last month at 12 and 19. Still not good, but I guess it's a little bit better. 13 and 14, pretty much 500, slightly below. That's better than not being above 500 at all. That's better than really below 500 like they started. So. But it's been a very disappointing year for the Red Sox. The offense has not done what they expected. The hitters have mightily struggled to get on base. And it's been a rough go for them. You also see that home road split. Obviously, losing that many games at home is, I'm sure, not helping things either. But for the Red Sox, I think that's the biggest problem is the fact they've just not been able to hit. They've had a very tough time getting the bat on the ball. Several Red Sox for them. They have some young hitters, but really just none of them have produced. And it's been a rough go for Boston. Do I think with some better play from their hitters, will they improve by a reasonable margin? Sure. I think with some better offense, you definitely could see that. But as of right now, I think it's going to be some tough sledding for the Red Sox for the foreseeable future. And then we go to the AL Central here, which is led by Cleveland. Cleveland Guardians sitting at 34 and 27. Starting last month, the Cleveland was sitting at I got slide over. There we go. They're sitting at 16 and 16. So obviously they've had a pretty good month here at 18 and 11. I mean, this is a team that's pretty solid. They're very good. They have a very good pitching staff. Well, I guess I should say they have a really good bullpen. The pitching staff is solid. It's not necessarily electric, but it's good. And their bullpen is just disgusting. There's no touching their bullpen. And with that being the case, well, their pitching numbers kind of show. I mean, they've been pretty good in the pitching department. They've, for the most part, handled teams in that area, but the biggest problem for Cleveland has also kind of been scoring, also been offense. They're not necessarily a great offensive team, and that's not anything new for Cleveland. They tend to win a lot of very close games because they just don't really score a ton. But that's kind of how it's been for Cleveland for a while. So I mean, really, realistically, this is exactly what I think people expected out of Cleveland. Yeah, not a ton of scoring, very good bullpen pitching, and good enough starting pitching to get them to the bullpen where they can shut down the team from there and then win the game. That's almost exactly how every Cleveland game goes, and they just pray that the offense does enough for them to win. That's kind of the Cleveland motto, and it works more, and I guess it doesn't. I guess they're not an outstanding team, but they're not a bad one either. I got no more to really say about that. It's also Cleveland. I don't like them. I'm a Tiger fan. I can't like Cleveland. I also can't like this team either with the Chicago White Sox, who have really turned some heads. They've had a good start, 32 and 28 to start the month of June here. They've been pretty good. Started the year at 14 and 17 going into May, but now 18 and also 18 and 11 actually. Going into today, I mean, listen, this is a team that's scoring. I mean, they're getting runs on the board. The pitching staff certainly is not great. I mean, I'd say they're probably a reverse of Cleveland. They have some good hitters. They have some guys who have been producing, some young guys who have been coming up and doing pretty well. And then they have a pitching staff where there's a couple yikes on there, and you're kind of praying that they do something for you. But I mean, really, for Chicago, this is a welcome, I'd say, sight to see this kind of drastic improvement from what just a couple of years ago was a 120 something odd loss season. So to turn it around this dramatically is pretty incredible. Now there is a huge problem for the White Sox, as probably arguably their biggest and possibly best hitter. Um, oh my gosh. Sorry, fantasy baseball guys. Don't worry about it. But probably their biggest and best hitter, who speaking of fantasy baseball, I own him, is Moon. I hope I'm saying this right. Muntaka Murakami. First baseman. He plays first for the White Sox, but he just hit the IL during the series against my said Detroit Tigers. And he'll probably be out for most of June, if not probably all of it. Probably won't be back. I'd expect until July at some point. So that's a huge loss for him, as he had 20 homers already on the year. So I mean, a dude was hitting a ton of bombs, which I mean helps get that run number up. So we'll see how they can adjust to life without him. But so far, not bad for Chicago. I mean, I think White Sox fans have to be very happy with what they're seeing. And then we had the Minnesota Twins sitting at 28 and 33. Starting last month, they were at 14 and 18. So, I mean, pretty much, uh, pretty much just mellow out there. 14 and 15, I think actually is what that math is. I'm not good at math. Yeah, 14 and 15 for the month here. Not. I mean, this isn't really a great team. And I'm not going to act like they are, because they're really not. Um, I mean, this is a team that we're talking about that basically sold off every single player they owned a season ago. I mean, they had absolute, they have it like or 2 years ago, whatever year it was. They have absolutely nothing left other than Byron Buxton and maybe like Joe Ryan. Other than really that, this is just not a good team. um, they give up a crud ton of runs. They have been scoring a lot actually, which is a little odd to say the least. But really, if you're a Twins fan, I don't think you're really expecting much more than what you're getting right now. So um, it is what it is, I suppose. But 28 and 33, I don't really think the Twins are trying to compete for anything. Um, I guess we'll just say, not much more to really say about the Twins here. Then we have the Kansas City Royals at 23 and 37. Rough stretch for them to start the season. It's not been what they hoped. They started the year at 12 and 19 in the first 2 months going into May. That puts them at 11 and 18 for the month of May. Um, not able to really score a ton. The pitching staff, which has been their calling card and been the thing that they consistently go to, make games a little bit better for them, has just not been there. And they've been giving up a lot of runs as of late. And it is, I mean, when that is really the best thing about your team, and you're just counting on that to be, be the thing that carries you and not your offense, and then that thing ends up failing, you have a tough time starting to win. And um, they've been just giving up a lot of runs, and they've just not been able to, keep up with it. And so it's been a tough stretch for them. But the Royals, I mean, offense, like I've said this about many other teams in this division, but offense has been a problem for them for some time. They had 1 year when they made the playoffs, and that was kind of it. They've always had really offensive struggles since. But Royals, I'm sure they were looking to get some better offense, but they have not found it. And then there's the disaster class of a May that the Detroit Tigers had. I haven't really gone through every single team, so I don't know how bad some months were for some teams. I still don't think anything topped what the Tigers just did. They're at 23-38. Mind you, coming into this month, they were at 16-16. So if you take out the win that they just got yesterday against the Rays, they would have been 6-18. I'm sorry, 6-22 for the month of May. 6-22. This team has completely fallen off the face of the earth. Now, this is coming from a Tigers fan that's very frustrated, but I mean, it's been a disaster. All kinds of injuries have just completely derailed really anything the Tigers could have had. But really, I think the biggest problem was the offense. Even at the end of last year, we saw the offense starting to struggle and the bullpen having, multiple different lapses at different occasions. Very little patchwork was done to fix the bullpen, and nothing was done to fix the hitting. And now here's your result a month into the year. Now, it was a pretty drastically bad month. Now, can they turn things around the month of May? Maybe. But I'm not sure that this is just what the Tigers really are. You had a good stretch at the end of 2024, and you had a good stretch to start 2025, and then the bats finally started to cool down, and the bullpen finally started to falter a little bit. And the only thing that was still good, which we've had this before, was the starting pitching. And this year, it has had a billion injuries, has completely derailed that part of the team as well. So pretty much everything that could have gone wrong for the Tigers has. But I'd also say the Tigers really have just done this to themselves. You know, and just I don't know if many of you know the name of the Tiger GM, but you're about to find out who it is now. Scott Harris did this to himself. I got nothing else to really say other than that. Very disappointing month. It's been brutal, and maybe they can turn it around. Hopefully they do, but this team currently just looks like it's dead in the water. I don't know where they go from here. It's been all bad, and for an entire month it just looked like there was no end in sight. So, a little hard to swallow that pill. Anyways, after all that, let's get to the AL West here, and we start in the AL West with the division-leading Seattle Mariners. Now, they were not the division leaders, not winners, division leaders at the end of last month. At the beginning of May, they were actually right with the Tigers at 16-16. But unlike the Tigers, they didn't have a monumental collapse. They've been a bit better. They're sitting currently in this month. They sat at 16-13. And have actually now won 7 in a row. So a very good stretch here for good old Seattle. And that's the team that nearly beat the Blue Jays in the ALCS last year. You'd expect this. They have great pitching. They certainly have a good bevy of hitters who can certainly get things done. But yeah, this is a very good team, and you're finally starting to see it. I mean, it was a little rough to start. They just weren't really getting the offense as much, but the offense has been picking it up a little bit. They've been scoring some more runs, and well, we're starting to see results now. So, and with that pitching staff, of course, as electric as it's been, we know they have great pitching, and it's been outstanding. Even with the very poor season, uncharacteristically poor season, I should add, Luis Castillo. Yeah, Luis Castillo. I said that. That's his first name. Or why am I thinking something else? It's Luis Castillo. I don't know why I'm thinking that his first name is something else, but y'all know the pitcher I'm talking about, regardless if I even did get his name wrong. I don't think I did. But for Seattle Mariners, even with him having an uncharacteristically bad year, the pitching staff has still been great. And even Andres Munoz has not been that good this year, but pitching staff has still gotten it done. And, like I said, 7-game win streak here. Very good stretch for the Mariners. Going from 25-29 to 32-29 is a, stark difference. But good stretch for the Mariners. You'd like to see them continue to keep that going. And then in second place, we have the Texas Rangers at 29-31. The Rangers were at 15-16 at the end of last month, so pretty much stood pat here as they went 14 and 15. One game under, but pretty much 500. They've also actually won 4 straight, so good stretch for them as well. Not as good with the pitching numbers. They've gone up a little bit. They're still very good in the pitching department. Offense has kind of lagged a little bit, but it is what it is. That's also been like the Royals. That's been an issue for the Rangers for quite a handful of years here. So that's really nothing new. So the Rangers, I mean, this is a team that just wants some offense. You get some runs on the board, give that pitching some run support, and, well, good luck. I wouldn't say their pitching staff's probably as, stellar as Seattle's is. I wouldn't even say their bullpen is as stellar as Seattle's is, but the Rangers have certainly done their fair share of shutting down teams with their pitching as well. So, the Rangers don't have an offense to really support it, which has been the problem with keeping up with teams like Seattle, amongst others. So, yeah. But the Rangers, yeah, I mean, this is not really new for them. This is kind of where you figured they would be. Just, team that has the pitching to do it, but just not the offense. That's kind of what it's been for them. And then we go to the Athletics, whatever city they're from. I guess technically Sacramento. I don't know. They want to be called the Las Vegas Raider or the Las Vegas A's, even though they're not really in Las Vegas yet. They don't want to be called Oakland. They don't want to be called Sacramento. I don't know what the heck they are. I just call them the A's because I mean they don't really, I guess, have a city. I don't know. But they're at 28-31. They were at 17-14 actually coming into this month, so a rough stretch for them. They're at 11-17. Well, I mean, when you talk about the A's, I think we kind of expected this. At least I kind of did, because I mean, they were doing it. They were doing this with having good pitching numbers too. It wasn't like their hitting was necessarily going off the charts or something. Their pitching was doing really well, and the offense really wasn't doing a ton. And I'm like, that's not going to continue. That because last year was when they had a good offense and their pitching staff was by far the worst in baseball. So I'm like, okay, well, if they really want to keep this going, that offense has to be back to what it was last year, and then they can probably get some more wins. But hasn't necessarily happened. It's been decent, but not amazing. And the pitching staff has completely fallen apart and is really starting to blow up now. So I think the little honeymoon phase for their pitching staff has ended, and they're kind of going back to their old ways. So hopefully the A's offense can start offsetting that yikes pitching a bit. Otherwise, we might be seeing a lot of 10-7 losses for the A's this year. And then we go to Houston Astros at 27-34. The only problem for the Astros has just been their significant number of injuries, specifically to the pitching staff. Similar to kind of the Tigers, they've had an absolute mess of injuries that have completely ravaged their starting pitching. Multiple guys going down. I mean, they actually at one point they literally lost every single guy in their starting pitching rotation. I don't care who you are, if you have that many guys out, that is very hard to try and work through. I mean, I just mentioned the Tigers. I asked them; they pretty much lost everybody, and they couldn't recover from it. So Houston has been dealing with the same thing, although they are recovering a little bit better with having more pitching back. I think Josh Hader is also going to have his debut today. He's going to be back for the Astros should they need him. So that's also, of course, a huge plus to get your big time closer back from an injury. among with, several other, a couple other pitchers as well that have now come back. So the pitching's finally starting to come back together again. And with that, we'll probably see better results. But they were at 12 and 20 to start this month. So they're at 15 and 14 for the month of May, which not terrible. But the Astros are just looking to get some wins together. A little bit better numbers from the pitching, not getting just absolutely burned on in runs every single game, and I'm sure we'll see some better numbers. And then we have the LA Angels, who also were at 12 and 20 at the end of last month. So I think they actually had like a long losing streak when I started that video. But currently they're at 23 and 38, which puts them for the month of May at 11 and 18. They were looking pretty good to start the year, and then they just kind of fell apart, and it hasn't seemed like they recovered yet. Mike Trout is still having a renaissance year. He's still doing pretty good, but just the rest of the team has not. I mean, it's nice to see Mike Trout actually looking like the old Mike Trout again, but really, other than that, there's not much to be excited for in LA. At least for that LA team. The other one, different story, but for this one. Eh, sorry. But I mean, for the Angels, I don't think anyone really thought these guys would be, fantastic or anything. Certainly don't think people expect them to be awful, but expecting the Angels to be, electric or one of the better teams in the West, no. But maybe they get like second place in the division. Other than that, I think they'd be lucky to sniff the top half. But for the Angels, rough month. But I mean, were you really expecting to be much higher than that? Especially after that long losing skid at the end of last month, or going into the month of May. I mean, kind of hard, but it is what it is. The Angels, though, sitting in last place. 4 games already now behind Houston, who they were tied with to start the last month. So, not a good look if you're an Angels fan. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll have I mentioned this earlier. I talked about the other video that I was going to do today, but I'm actually not because, well, it's going to be a little tough to, get that video in along with all the other ones with the other MLB video I want to do. Plus, I'm going to have other stuff I'm doing tonight. So with that being the case, I will be holding this off for a little bit longer, but I'm sure you guys will be happy to hear. Finally, we will have football off-season videos. Yes, they are coming back. We are starting with the AFC East, and then we'll be doing the the ACC and the NFC East. We'll be doing college and NFL all together starting this week. So keep in touch on that, along with, of course, MLB videos that'll be coming out occasionally over time. All that stuff coming soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoy the next one. But until then, adios, everybody.